I used to sell portraits instead of lemonade when I was a kid because there were better margins.
Today on Marketing Presents, we're talking again with Arlo Gilbert about the most important job of a startup CEO and why you should be nice to everyone.
My name is Arlo Gilbert. Until last week, I was the CEO and co-founder of metaSaaS. Our company was acquired last week by a larger company called Flexera.
Arlo has started a lot of companies in a lot of different industries, but he's found that no matter what the startup is, there's one thing that never changes. Being a CEO comes with a lot of responsibilities. Marketer, hiring manager, maybe even janitor. But the most important role is salesman.
The CEO's main job at a startup is to be selling. I mean, in the beginning, you're selling your vision to your co-founders, you're selling your vision to investors, potential employees, prospective customers. Selling your company to investors is really no different than selling your software to companies.
As the CEO of any kind of startup, no matter if it sells products, services, or software, having a salesman's mindset is important, even more so when you've got investors to think about, and what you're trying to sell is your entire company.
My first company, the one that I bootstrapped, I never wanted to sell that. It was my baby. I didn't have any investors, but on this most recent company, metaSaaS, this one I took capital from other people, and so I felt a real sense of obligation to give them a return. So it's exciting because it's validation, right? I mean, it's a grind. Building a startup is pretty thankless most of the time. So when a big company comes knocking and says, "Hey, we'd like to give you a whole bunch of money for your idea," that you came up with, that definitely makes you feel really good.
So if the key to a successful startup is selling, then what's the key to being a good salesman? Well, there's no secret shortcut, but as with most things in life, a little persistence will go a long way.
I think you gotta have a thick skin and you gotta never give up, because the fact is that for every single person who says yes to buying your product, or for every single person who says yes to investing in your company, there are gonna be 100 people who are gonna tell you no, and they're gonna tell you you're crazy, and they're gonna tell you that your idea is stupid. I mean, it just never stops that you're selling. And so you have to get really, really comfortable with being a salesperson and being willing to carry a bag and smile and be told no. And that was the number one thing that I had to learn through the journey. That first pitch, the only advice I would give any entrepreneur is when you're first going out and pitching, pitch to people you don't want money from. Because the difference between my pitch after 100 times of doing it versus the first one or two, game-changing difference. I got so good at selling this thing. The other really big piece that I learned that I've carried with me, be really, really nice to everybody. My first company, I was a perfectionist and I was hard on people, and that didn't serve me well. And on this last company, I really learned to be kind and be nice to people, and it's had a big impact on how people perceive me and how they perceive the company. You just never know where that person that you're talking to today is gonna be in a year. That person that you turned down for a job or weren't nice to could suddenly end up being a buyer at a company you're trying to sell to, or working for an investor you want to raise capital from. You just never know.
If you help them and have a vision for them of how to be successful, then that's going to dovetail with the organization. And when that point comes, if it doesn't, where you go your separate ways, there's mutual respect, and that ends up being a contact or somebody for you to network with.
That's all for this episode. Thanks for watching. And if you have any questions or suggestions, just let us know in the comments.